Well, hi. Today is Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. If you have been following this show, you know that one of my favorite things to do is pull up a chair, talk to the people who make this community move right here on the table behind me. I'm talking about business owners, the nonprofit leaders, educators, tradespeople. These are the people who aren't just in our town, they are the town. Today, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to talk about the why behind what we do at Local Stream Media and why it's important. But first, Morning Coffee, supported by Bryce Taylor and GLI Insurance Group, serving Council Bluffs, Tabor, and Clarinda. March in Iowa is that in-between season. Not quite winter, not quite spring, and a good time to take 5 minutes and make sure your home vehicles and everything else that you're pulling out for warmer weather are properly covered. Bryce and the GLI team live and work right here in our communities and are always happy to help you head into spring with confidence. GLI Insurance Group, local service, all seasons. Service Master Restored by Schmader knows how hard it is to get back to normal when you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke, and that can often lead to mold, and you're asking yourself, how am I getting things back to normal? Here's how you do it. You call Cindy Schmader at Service Master Restored by Schmader. Get this number in your phone. It is 402-339-9911. I spent more than 30 years in traditional media, specifically in radio. I really loved what I did. I loved the energy of a live studio and the feeling that I was part of the heartbeat of the town that I was in. But over those 3 decades, I realized something that changed how I look at communication entirely. For a long time, the industry believed that media was defined by the technology that delivered it. We thought a tower meant one thing and a printing press meant another. But after years of sitting across from people and sharing their stories, the truth finally sank in. The equipment was never the magic. The connection was. The goal of local media has always been to make people feel like someone was speaking directly to them. It was about hearing the voices you recognized and seeing faces you knew. It was about the shop down the street or the school your kids attended. That core concept, the idea of a shared local conversation, is what we are carrying forward. We just moved it into a modern visual home. We're talking and taking that same local spirit, or giving it a permanent digital seat at the table. When I first started, most media outlets were like small family businesses. They were owned by people who lived in the same neighborhoods as their audience. If you had a suggestion for a story, you didn't have to call a corporate hotline. You found the manager at a local game or the grocery store. The stewardship of our local stories was a local job, but as we have seen over the last 20 years and even longer, the structure of that world has changed. Through no fault of the hardworking people that are still inside those buildings, ownership has consolidated. Decisions that used to happen in our downtown offices started happening in corporate boardrooms, hundreds or sometimes even thousands of miles away. It's a tough reality for a community. When a company owns 1,000 outlets, they naturally start to look for ways to streamline. They start sharing content across multiple cities. Local nuances, the things that made Council Bluffs unique, got lost in the shuffle. It's not that the people working there don't care. Of course they do. It's just that the system they're in isn't built to be hyperlocal anymore. It's built for scale, not for neighbors. And that is why we felt it so important to build local stream media. Kyle and I wanted to create a space that is intentionally local. We wanted to provide a platform where the community's voice doesn't have to compete with national interests. We're returning to a model where the people telling the stories are the same people who are invested in the community's future. People asked me about the transition from traditional broadcasting to what we're doing now with video podcasting. To me, it's not about the box you use to listen or watch. It's about the intent. The physical habits of the past have changed, but the need for a local companion hasn't gone anywhere. We still want to start our day with a voice that understands our world. We still want to hear from our neighbors. We still want it to feel like we are part of something bigger than just a market or a demographic. Local stream media, we see video podcasting as the natural evolution of that local companion. By adding the visual element, we're making the connection more intimate and more transparent. We're allowing the audience to see the passion in a guest's eyes and the sincerity of their smile. You've seen them, as I said, at this table right behind me. We've moved away from a centralized model where one tower speaks to everyone and toward a decentralized model where everyone has a voice. We don't need a multi-million-dollar infrastructure anymore to talk to you. We need a camera and we need a story worth telling. This shift allows us to be more responsive to our community. We aren't tethered to a corporate clock. We're tethered to you. One of the most rewarding parts of this new era is that it has opened the doors for everyone. In the past, if a local business wanted to share their expertise, they were limited to a 30-second ad spot. You had to try to condense your life's work into a catchy jingle and hope people remembered your name. But today, we believe that every local business or nonprofit can and should be its own storyteller. You don't have to wait for the media to notice the good work you're doing. You can bring that story directly to the people you serve. When a local leader sits down for a video podcast, they are doing something a traditional ad could never do. They are building trust through transparency. They're sharing their why. They're explaining the nuances of their craft. They're positioning themselves not just as a service provider, but as a neighbor with a specialized skill. We love helping those organizations find their voice. We believe that a 20-minute conversation about your passion is worth more than 1,000 short interruptions. We are providing the space for the local stories that often get overlooked, ensuring that our community's leaders are heard and seen in a way that truly reflects their value. So, we live in an incredibly noisy world. Every time we open our phones, we're met with a flood of information from every corner of the globe. And it's easier than ever to know what's happening on the other side of the planet. But it's harder and harder to know what's happening on our own zip code. Attention has become a precious resource. Most of the content we consume is designed to be global and generic. It's built for the masses, which often means it doesn't speak to anyone specifically. It's like eating at a chain restaurant every day. It's consistent, but it doesn't have the flavor of home. Our goal is to help the community find its focus again. We want to win back a little bit of that attention for the things that actually matter to your daily life. We want you to care about the new local shop or the upcoming community event as much as the latest viral trend. By focusing the lens on our own streets, we are recentering the conversation. We are reminding people that while the world is big, their community is where their life happens. And we are here to make local the most interesting and engaging thing in your feed because we believe that the people right here in Council Bluffs are the ones who deserve our attention. There's a side to this that I think is really important for our local leaders to understand. For a long time, local businesses have relied on rented space to get their message out. Whether it was a radio ad or a social media post, you were always subject to someone else's rules. But a video podcast is an owned asset. When we record a conversation here at Local Stream Media, that content belongs to the organization. It becomes a permanent part of their digital library. It doesn't disappear when the ad budget runs out, and it isn't subject to the whims of a tech company's latest update. This is about building a durable foundation for our local voices. We're helping organizations create a record of their expertise and their commitment to the community that will be just as valuable 5 years from now as it is today. In a world where everything feels temporary, we are helping the community build something that lasts. We're moving away from renting attention and toward owning our own local narrative. Media has a funny way of shaping how we see ourselves. When the stories we consume are all national, we start to lose the nuances of our local identity. We start to see our town through a generic lens rather than a personal one. Reclaiming the local voice is about the reconstruction of that identity. It's about celebrating the things that only we know, the Council Bluffs legends, the specific challenges, the shared victories. Every local video podcast we produce is a small piece of that puzzle. When we see a local educator talking about the future of our kids or a local developer talking about a new project downtown, we're seeing a reflection of who we actually are. We're moving away from the sanitized corporate version of local and back to the real, vibrant identity of our community. We're building a platform that doesn't just talk at the community, but actually reflects it back to itself. So, how are we actually doing this? It starts with authenticity. In my years in the industry, the best moments were always the ones that weren't scripted. It was the honest laugh, the heartfelt story, or the unexpected insight. And that is what people connect with. When a local leader gets in front of the camera, they don't need to be a performer. They just need to be themselves. They need to share the behind the scenes moments of their work, the things that keep them up at night and the things that get them out of bed in the morning. In a video format, these stories have a unique power. We can see the sincerity. We can see the passion. This visual evidence builds trust in a way that no polished ad ever could. It's about human connection, and we believe it's the most powerful tool we have for building a stronger community. It's a return to honest, neighborly conversation. We live in an era right now where people are hungry for transparency. They want to know the people behind the businesses they support. They want to see the how and the why of the organizations in their town. What we're doing with video podcasts is embracing that hunger. We're showing the faces. We're showing the workspaces. We're letting the community see the work in progress. When a local nonprofit shows the actual impact of their work through a video conversation, they're inviting the community into their mission. When a local business owner shows their team in action, they're showing their values. This transparency is what builds lasting loyalty. You can't fake local. You're either part of the community doing the work or you aren't. Video makes it easy to show that you are here and that you care. There's a shared language that we speak in this community. It's a language of specific street names, local landmarks, and shared history. And centralized media, by its nature, has to speak a more generic language to reach a wider audience. But when we speak local, when we produce a show, we lean into that specificity. That's a hard word. We talk about the corner where the new shop is opening. We mentioned the local park that just got a new playground. This creates an immediate sense of belonging for the viewer. It signals that this show wasn't made for a national audience, and it wasn't. It was made specifically for us and for you and for Council Bluffs. This narrow casting is the secret to building a loyal community. We aren't trying to reach the world. We're trying to reach our neighbors. And in a world of modern media, being the only ones who are actually here is a massive strength. We are the home team. In the old model, the communication was often a one-way street. We talked, you listened. The next generation of the local voice is a collaborative effort. A video podcast is a platform for the entire community. We want our viewers to be part of the show. We want them to send in their questions, share their own local tips, and tell us what they want to see next. When you involve the community in the creation of the media, you build a level of engagement that a corporate outlet simply cannot replicate. You stop being a content provider and you start being a community platform. For a local business, this means their customers aren't just buyers, they are members of the brand. They feel a sense of ownership over the stories we tell together. So let's get practical for a minute. The beautiful thing about the world today is that the technology barriers that used to limit who could speak to the community, it's all been dismantled. You don't need $1 million studio to have a voice. Most of us are carrying the tools we need right in our pockets, right here. With a smartphone and a quiet space, anyone can start a conversation. The secret isn't the gear, it's the consistency and the heart. Local media works when it's a regular part of the community's life. Here at Local Stream Media, we help businesses and organizations build that consistency. We handle the technical side so you can focus on what you do best, being a leader in your field. We're providing the modern space so that the community can provide the conversation. We also have to think about how our neighbors consume media today. They aren't just sitting in front of a screen at a specific time. They're catching clips on their lunch break, watching reels in the evening, and watching full episodes when they have time to settle in. When we produce a video podcast, we aren't just making one show. We're creating an entire ecosystem of content. From one conversation, we can pull a dozen pieces of information. Short clips, quotes, insights can be shared across every digital channel. This is how a small local organization can have a louder voice than a national chain. We show up in the email inbox, on the social feed, and on the podcast app. We're using the on-demand nature of modern media to ensure that the local message is always accessible. or meeting the community where they are with the stories they care about. So, because we are working in video, we have a unique advantage. We can show the community. If a local business is talking about a new product or a local nonprofit is talking about a new project, we don't have to just describe it, we can show it. Video allows us to bring the evidence of the community's good work directly to the viewer. It creates an emotional connection that text alone cannot reach. When a viewer sees the faces of the people involved and the reality of the work being done, they feel more connected to it. This is what makes the next generation of media so powerful. It provides a level of honesty and accountability that we've been missing. It allows us to be real with each other. And in a community like ours here in Council Bluffs, being real is the only way to build lasting relationships. So, where do we go from here? As the traditional landscape continues to shift, what does the future of our local voice look like? It looks like a community that has taken ownership of its own stories. It looks like a town where every local business has a voice and every nonprofit has a platform. It looks like a decentralized, neighbor-owned media network. This isn't just a business model for us at Local Stream Media. It's a mission. We're the digital construction crew here to help you build your part of this new town square. We're providing the tools and the strategy to make sure that the community's heartbeat is louder than the national noise. The corporations might not be focused on our local stories, but that's okay. We are. And we're inviting you to join us. Take your seat. Turn on the light and let's start sharing the stories that actually matter to the place we call home. I'm going to end it today with a direct call to every business owner, every leader, and every storyteller in this community. Do not wait for permission to share your story. Don't wait for a gatekeeper to tell you that your work is important. The world is wide open. The community is waiting to hear from you. Whether you work with us or maybe you just start one on your own, the important thing is that you start. Reclaim your voice. Reclaim your neighbor's attention and celebrate the identity of Council Bluffs. If you have a leak, a clogged drain, or if you're planning a big remodel, Waldstein Plumbing in Council Bluffs has you covered with fast, reliable service and expert craftsmanship, handling everything from small repairs to major installations. They're locally owned and trusted and take pride in doing the job right the first time. Residential or commercial, big or small, when plumbing problems strike, visit waldsteinplumbing.com. A good morning start with peace of mind. My Nurse Healthcare provides professional in-home support where it matters most, helping individuals maintain comfort, dignity, and independence in their daily lives. Their experienced nursing team focuses on personalized care, clear communication, and supporting families through every step of the process. It's healthcare that's built on trust, compassion, and real relationships. Learn more at mynursehealthcare.com. Well, the concept of local companionship and storytelling is alive and well. It just looks a little different now. It looks like you, looks like us, and it looks like a community that is proud to tell its own story. My name's Todd Studer. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning.